I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. McCanadia joins us. Hello.
Hello.
Please.
How's it going?
I'm doing great, but if you could, please introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, everyone, I am McCanadia, your favorite ace mercenary mecha pilot from beyond the Sol system. Generally, I am a variety streamer. I tend to do, at the current moment, at the time of recording, I do a lot more gacha than I would prefer to do. More financial reasons. But I do play like FPSs, mech games, like that. The whole sub-mecha genre is very much so unpopulated or not as populated. So like things like Mech Warrior, BattleTech, those are my lineup. I've got Armored Core 6, which is so good. I as an Armored Core fan, I say fan. I picked it up at around 4, which is when they started doing some real fun things.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've gone off topic.
No.
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter.
No worry about all that. You mentioned BattleTech, and I remember back in the old Commodore 64 days, way before you were even an embryo out in space. There were BattleTech games that were very tough to deal with such limited computer.
Oh
things.
yes, I do remember being introduced to those, and honestly, they looked as old and dated as they look now for their time and for the way they look. I still love it. I love them. Yeah, I mean, I really want to get my hands on a copy to play.
I really tried at the time to play it, but it just was people don't realize this now because everything is done for them on the computer or on a console. But you had to do your own maps. You had to do everything at the time in order to keep up with what's going on. Keep notes, switch discs. No one even knows what that means anymore.
No one knows what that means anymore.
Yeah, and it took a while to get going on that game, and I finally got to improve the model a little bit, and then I think my whole computer died. But it it'd been around for a while. But that particular series has been around for a long time. What was the most recent thing BattleTech's put out?
So there's obviously the BattleTech strategy game. It's more plays like XCOM as like a turn-based like strategy,
right?
Which is actually very fun. I will admit, I need to get back into it. But there's also Mech Warrior 5 Mercenaries, which is a descendant of the Mech Warrior, like obviously same thing, right? Mech Warrior BattleTech, but instead of doing like a top-down turn-based strategy view, it is a like first person. It's like a vehicle combat. It is proper vehicle like mech combat.
Oh, okay.
Like you, the pilot, sit in the mech. And you go out on contracts. You go take contracts, complete missions. And depending on what they are, right, their objective changes. But either way, in Mech Warrior 5 Mercenaries, you run your own mercenary company.
Oh,
so there's obviously the in battle setting where you are in your mech, but when you are not doing like combat things, you have to manage your like your repairs, your ammo, recovery and replenishment.
Yeah,
because you basically have to buy your ammo and everything. Yeah. You decide where you go, what jobs you take, stuff like that.
Improvements.
And there's a pretty much overworld section.
Yeah, and you get improvements, don't you, for your mech?
Yes.
Yeah, and
some places will have better mechs available for purchase. Where you can basically go and get those. You can find better pilots.
Right.
to pilot said better mechs. So it's pretty much just like you're scrapping together a mercenary company.
Yeah.
And there's a couple main storylines. There's going to be a new DLC for that one
Cool.
that's going to focus on the clan invasion.
Okay.
So
And
clan mechs and clan things are going to be added to the game, and I'm super hyped for that.
excellent. Now, these particular games, that particular game, when you're talking about being able to buy a, you know, pre-made suit or building up your own, which would you
Mm.
like which would you prefer? Would you prefer building your own mech up or getting one that's prefab?
Hmm. Prefab would, if you're looking for something very quick, something to get you in and out of combat very fast,
Hmm.
a prefab always goes well.
Hmm.
And even still, you could do some minor tune-ups, and changing of the weapons assortment,
Hmm.
the armor layout. There's still a whole lot you can do with it.
Hmm.
It's just you didn't build it up from scratch. I think personally, I would like a custom, but I will not knock the idea of getting a prefab
Mm.
and using that as a base as well.
Mm. So
Because if you can do enough work on a prefab
yeah,
to make it your own custom.
yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know. I see something like that, and I think if you build your own from scratch, then you build up, you know exactly what you're wanting. You went out and got it, and then after a while, like I can get this prefab that's almost quite the same, but it's not what I built.
Hmm.
And maybe that's the wrong way to take those games. If it's better, you better get it, because somebody else is gonna.
If it is better,
Yeah,
true.
yeah. But it
But
again,
you can always make something work.
well, I can always.
Never like there are light mechs
Mhm.
that absolutely destroy assault mechs, and the difference between these two is their armor assortment, or their armor layout, their weapons assortment, and their weight class, their general weight class.
Yeah, and
So
it.
like a light will be like 20 tons, 30
Yeah,
tons. A assault is like 100, 120 tons.
that's got to affect
Ideally,
agility and that type of thing in those suits.
exactly.
Yeah. So you're not,
Like you can just play.
yeah, you're bigger, but you're not going to move as fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you bring that heavy armor, that heavy armament, but you are not as agile and it is much more difficult to deal with, say, a smaller craft than you.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Now, overall, when did you get started on VTubing?
VTubing. That would actually be around close to like this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was around, if I check my calendar, I believe it was the 6th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I had been here and there, like trying out streaming, like without fully committing,
Right.
just because lots of stuff was going on, especially during COVID.
Mm, yeah.
Um, Lots of things were going on in my personal life that just made it difficult for me to like fully commit to streaming.
Stupid life.
Um,
Getting in the way of everything.
uh, Egads,
Getting in the way of everybody.
curse thee.
Yeah. And shake my fist at it. Um, but
Yeah, I just did the same thing. I
yeah.
know nobody can see it.
Yes. Now, but but you were interested in the actual VTubing for a while?
Yes. So just around the start of COVID, maybe about a year before, about 2019,
Mm-hmm.
a buddy of mine's got me to watch clips of Hololive JP VTubers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People like Korone, Mio, Fubuki,
Well,
a lot of like the original like OG
yeah.
Holo JP,
The first few.
and ever since that point, it was a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I had fallen into the rabbit hole just like he did. He pretty much dragged me with him. But the journey of like watching, like because to me VTubers are just another type of content creator. They're the way they show themselves,
Mm-hmm.
um, being different in terms of like instead of having a face cam, to like show your physical like your actual face,
Right.
your room behind you, everything, right?
Yeah.
It's just a model.
Right.
Otherwise, a lot of the things that VTubers do is actually the same as normal streamers or normal YouTubers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Um,
I kind of draw a parallel to the old, because I'm one thing because I'm old. Second because I'm an old radio guy, and folks who were disc jockeys back in the day playing music. We didn't show our faces, and some of us took on different names, and some people took on different personalities when they went on the air. Um,
mhm.
and I think there's and again, could be able, people can go online and see somebody play Honkai Star Rail, maybe 100 people at any one time playing it, but it's the
Mhm.
personality that brings you back. Like in the old days, they could hear the same song on any radio station, but it's the personality playing it that brought them back. Um,
Yes.
so it's kind of like a modern day DJs, and I hope that you guys get paid more
Hmm.
than we
I can
did
see the
back.
parallel. It's good.
Yeah, yeah, but
It's a good analogy. I didn't think about it.
yeah, well, you're not an old man like I am.
See, I feel like an old man. I
Yeah,
tell people, I'm like, listen, I'm an old man in a young guy's body. I
yeah,
swear to God.
yeah, that happens a lot. And just wait till you're an old man in an old man's body. That's even worse. Um,
Uh
yeah,
full circle.
yeah, full circle. Um, so was it very easy for you to get started since you've kind of dabbled in content creation a little bit? Did was the start an easy one for you?
At the start, so when like really like kicked off wanting to be a VTuber, I had a lot of the things that I needed to set up. And with the model, because I'm a, PNG tuber, I
Hmm.
don't need a whole lot of the extra peripherals required
Right,
to like set up the like live 2D or 3D models, things like that.
right. Yeah, so you didn't need
Um,
all the bells and whistles and all the super expensive stuff to start with.
exactly.
Yeah.
Even now, it's a lot cheaper.
Hmm.
Um, to get into doing things like 3D models and the live 2D stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, but I just really wanted to stick with a PNG just because I wanted it to be simple to begin with.
Right.
And this is sort of like my mentality of going through it, where I want to do this. I want to take it slow,
Mm.
slow and steady, right? I will
Right.
build myself up first, but like because I don't have in in my head at least the most full picture that I think I could. I wanted to like iron everything out as I went.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's sooner or later you're gonna have to just jump in the pool. I mean, you can
This is true.
you can iron and iron and iron and iron all you want, and then the pool dries up. So, uh,
Exactly.
you gotta,
Eventually, I will get there.
yeah. And again, it's you're always knocking a little bit off the piece of granite to find whatever's inside of it. So there's
Mhm.
always works in progress. Did you find an audience quickly?
Uh, at the beginning, I'd say I didn't really find it like an audience super quick.
Hmm.
Like most content creators, you do have to get used to the fact that you will most likely be streaming to one, maybe two people, sometimes a good portion of the time, just nobody,
Well,
right?
yeah.
But that honestly did not bother me.
Mm.
Not much at least. Uh,
Yeah.
because I knew that going in, and I was playing games where I would like it was not too, I would say, crowded at like the top of like the category.
Okay.
Is there's a lot of the sort of like the Twitch sort of like streamer meta,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but honestly, just also sticking to what I normally like doing.
Mhm.
So at the beginning, I was playing a lot of Armored Core 6
Mm.
at the time of like close to its release.
Right. Right.
So I found people through that. What really kicked off me getting to where I am now
Hmm.
is actually having a Twitter. Because at the time when I started, I didn't have a Twitter.
Right. Right. It does
Crazy,
help.
right?
It does help. Any place, and I've talked to B2s about this before, coming from the old media days. marketing does make a difference. And if you,
Yes.
the more that you get some people try to do it through collaborations and random collaborations, and that's mixed. But if you can go out and do something like a YouTube short or a TikTok something or other, and do something on Twitter, you're controlling where you're putting your advertisement basically, and it is an advertisement, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again, sometimes you gotta reach out and grab the audience before you can get one.
Exactly.
Wow. So sounds like you got a pretty good idea of what you're doing with that. Have you uh, have you gotten a good base that sticks with you through every game you're playing?
Yeah, I actually do have like a good number of just
Hmm.
return viewers.
Hmm.
I love them to death. They are amazing. Sometimes chat will bully me. Sometimes they would be supportive.
Yeah.
But they are honestly just they are partially what brings the energy back. Obviously, I have it, but
Yeah. And there's a
they put the wind back in the sails. If that is applicable
oh,
as a turn of phrase.
it makes absolute sense. It really does. There's going to be some times when you go on there, no matter what you're doing, in front of people, at an entertainment type situation where you don't necessarily feel up to it, but you're going out there because you made the commitment to do it. And then once you get that little bit of interaction, you tend to your batteries tend to charge up real fast.
Mm.
Um, Now they may not last very long, but at least for a while
But
your batteries are charged up. Um, the Have you found that happening for you, where at times you just really wanted to not necessarily be on there, and then knowing that the chat was going to be there, it helped you out?
definitely.
Mm.
There were days where I definitely should not have been streaming, where I just like felt sick.
Mm.
Now I there are times obviously where I prioritize my own health. But there were other times where I felt sick. Like I was about 50-50. I was on the fence.
Mm.
And I'm like, I made this commitment. I'm gonna do it.
Mm. Yeah,
Like chat will be there. They will be waiting for me. But
yeah, yeah,
like even if I don't do it today, I know they'd be there maybe tomorrow if I were to reschedule. But I said today,
yeah.
so I'm gonna do it today.
Yeah, sometimes you got to just set your jaw and do it. I mean, obviously there are times if you can't talk, it's or if you're although I can't see that now because I know some folks who are mute who are streamers, so I can't really see that. But if you're to the
Mm,
point where you can't communicate at all, I mean, if you're so sick you can't see what's going on and all that, you need to rest, obviously. But if you can
exactly.
set your jaw and keep a schedule, that also is big because there are people out there who are kind of relying on you almost like a clock to be on
Hmm.
there and waiting for them, and it does make a big difference if you're able to do that.
Yes, no, that is for sure. Um, like one of the big things, especially just as a streamer, consistency. Especially when you're a small streamer, consistency will be what builds you.
Hmm.
Obviously, your marketing, like it's a combination of things, but as long as you are consistent, you are like blasting your name out there where you want, where you want people to, see you.
Right?
Um, and focusing on your own type of content and your own brand.
Hmm. Yeah, that all makes
Generally,
a lot of
it all
sense.
comes together.
Yeah, it did, and you start growing incrementally, like you said you want to do. Just uh, you don't need a big old house of cards and then have something pull out and crash down again. You're building a solid foundation the way you're
Mhm.
doing it. That's a good way to go about it. Now let's talk about those gotcha games.
Yes.
So how many extra jobs have you had to take?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Uh, it's obviously it's fun to watch, and that's what they're there for, is for you to go in and get more stuff, and if you're enjoying yourself, great, and obviously you are because you're still doing it.
Mhm.
Uh, But what are the gotcha games that you're playing right now?
As of this moment, I am currently mostly playing through Honkai Star Rail and
Mm-hmm.
Arknights.
Uh-huh.
I did make a slight return to Genshin Impact, though I will say I am not the most consistent with it.
Mm-hmm.
I also recently picked up Wuthering Waves. If we're going and talking like past games I've also played, we can chalk up. Uh, let's see. Um, Girls Frontline. I've picked Punishing Gray Raven. I've
Uh-huh.
tried out. I also picked up. I still somewhat on the side play Azure Lane, and then I used to play. I pretty much like stopped playing it. I only pick it up every so often,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe for a day. The granddaddy of them all, Fate Grand Order.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're pretty much hook, line, and sinker bought into.
Pretty much, pretty much.
Hey,
It's
companies.
it's not my fault that they put good stories inside of gotcha mobile games. Genuinely, some of the best writing I've seen. Not always,
Mm,
but some.
yeah.
Some storylines within gotcha games are just well, chef's kiss, peak fiction.
Right. 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 Well, that's it wouldn't work unless you had a compelling reason to keep going with the game. I mean, obviously, you can have
Exactly.
gotcha games that don't mean anything, and you're just throwing away real money or whatever you achieve in the game at it. But the whole point for them is to make money by drawing you in with a good story. And it seems like the Honkai Star Rails, the um, are that type of thing are enduring enough to continue to draw people in, and especially when they make new DLCs for them.
Oh yes. Um, for for every game it's sort of different, but I guess one of the bigger like talking points for that is Genshin Impact
Mm-hmm.
and Honkai Star Rail because there will be with every new version whatever say like 5.0 or 7.0 every point oh patch
Right?
there will always be a new area to explore
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
a new world to explore.
Yeah. And it's that's
And in
that.
between those, you get new characters, new
Yeah.
areas within that place.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I think folks
Generally
need
works.
to realize that that may be the future for a while of a lot of these games. Um,
Mhm.
it's much easier for them to add on to the games than create an entirely new game. Um, they can
Mhm.
put sections in, and sometimes they're not even doing the game. They just kind of buy somebody else's add-on and put it in there. Um,
Yes.
Fallout, for example, does has done that.
Fallout.
I mean, Fallout's got so many DLCs that is like a whole new game by the time they're done. Um,
Pretty much.
well, but this may be a lot of the future of gaming is that they don't want to spend all the money to create an entire new game, entire new universe. They've already got a universe, and instead of putting out, you know, Bob buys a car 13, they're just gonna
Mhm.
add a little bit to number 12 and keep that sale going.
Mhm. Right. The way that gaming is now was not the same as it was in like the early 2000s,
Mm,
early 2010s.
mm,
Mid 2010s is where it started to really form into this like all right, we're gonna like add more to an existing game or we're gonna make a new game within the same IP.
mm,
Um like as I will admit I was trying to be a game programmer.
mm-hmm.
Trying to get into the industry, I wanted to be a designer. I've had to take a break from that as life has not completely decided to line up, in my in my way
I'm
that
shaking
I'd
my
like it.
fist again at it for you. Stupid
Yep,
life. Hmm.
the cards fall
Yeah,
not in my favor,
yeah.
but just sort of seeing how as the as we've progressed, uh, and the industry is progressing forward as a whole.
Hmm.
The general consensus for a lot of AAA developers seems to be it is too dangerous to, or like it is too adventurous rather, to start up a new IP.
Right.
So let's work on something that people already know, people already have time invested into,
Hmm.
and we'll add on more content to that.
Yeah.
It
You'll see more.
always work.
You see more skeletons put out, and then people hanging meat on it later. That type of thing.
Yes.
One example might be like No Man's Sky, which came out,
Hmm.
and a lot of people were terribly unhappy with it. But when they started adding things, now people kind of enjoy it. And
Yeah.
a lot of people who had it before, like, okay, now it's a playable game. That might be what's happening in the future. But, well, what is happening in the future for you as far as your channel goes?
As far as my channel goes, I am working on. I say I'm working on a lot of things in the background, and I am. I promise. I know it. Like nobody can see behind the curtain, but
Nope.
I solemnly swear on the Bible
the
um that I got some like art commissions in the works. I've got because I just hit affiliate. I've got plans for adding emotes, new redeems, like full on like trying to get my monetization off the ground,
hmm
right?
Well, you got to get that gotcha
As
somewhere.
for I exactly the gotcha funds need to come from somewhere. They can't just come from the mercenary company, company treasury bank. I can't do that. I can't constantly fund it from there.
So you got a lot of irons in the fire coming up.
Exactly.
So what? But do you have a big goal? Is there some place that you're really wanting to get to that's off on the horizon, but you're aiming at?
Ooh.
Uh,
There from okay. I'd like I'd like to see how far I could go with just okay. I'm not the biggest or pickiest on like follow numbers or anything like that or sub goals.
hmm
Although I do have to be. I'm a streamer.
Well, I mean,
I'm a
yeah,
streamer creator man. It's part of the job.
yeah, yeah.
Um generally for me though, I think I kind of want to do just more collabs with other friends.
Mm,
They're like, streamers that I've like come into contact with.
mm,
Like I've done quite a few. Like there are some people that I really for sure want to do collabs with.
mm.
Um when I've only done a few with Kiwi, and I need to do more. I need to do more. Kiwi's an honest to god gem.
Well, we're gonna get
She is absolutely great.
we'll get Kiwi on. We'll
We just do it again.
yeah, yeah. We'll get it. The collaborating for you, I guess, is kind of the final piece in marketing for you in a way.
Yeah, it is. It is sort of that like final piece where like I, as much as I can, do on my own, I also both like to spend time with others and then proceed to share with others.
Well,
Like for me, it's not a whole lot about pushing me or my own brand a lot because I already do that.
well,
For me, collabs are more of, hey, I want to like spend time with you. Could be on or off stream. Doesn't have to be,
well.
whatever makes somebody else more comfortable. And we just shoot the shit. We play games. We will talk like a mutual interest or whatever for hours.
Well, I believe we have shot a great deal of shit for the last several minutes.
That I believe we have. And I would honestly be down to do a whole lot more.
I'd hope so. I really appreciate you coming on, folks. We're going to have the links to what McCanadia has got going on in the description for the interview. Check out to see what's up there. And thanks so much for coming on. We'll do it again here real soon. Okay.
For sure, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.